Tonight, minority and majority leadership on Lands and Forestry Committee clash over allegations that Chief Director of the Lands Ministry confessed to the ministry hiring land guards, with the majority side determined to drag Tamale North MP Hassan Suhini before the Speaker for going public on the matter.
Don't take any information from our committee work to the press. It's a complete betrayal. The Speaker will determine, because we have to make complaint to the Speaker.
Reporting to the Speaker is completely unnecessary. It comes to nothing, because the Speaker cannot prevent anybody.
We have details from Parliament where a defiant majority side proceeded today with business in the House despite a near-empty House, with a message to the opposition NDC, who have been boycotting Parliament.
Our colleagues in the minority, and they have elected not to be present. So that the Parliament of this Republic cannot wait for them.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Tonight, the minority and the majority leadership on the Lands and Forestry Committee have clashed over allegations that the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry confessed to the ministry hiring land guards, with the majority side determined to drag the Tamale North MP Hassan Suhini before the Speaker for going public on the matter. Now, the chairman of the Lands and Natural Resources Committee says the behavior of the deputy ranking member Hassan Suhini will be reported to the Speaker following his disclosure of the committee's closed-door sitting to the public. Francis Menu Adabo views his move as a betrayal, saying it violates the committee's operating procedures. Well, in the last few minutes, we've also been hearing from the ranking member on that committee, who is vehemently disagreeing with his chairman and also fighting the decision by the majority side of the committee to drag Hassan Suhini to the Speaker. Mr. Suhini himself this week on Monday informed the media that the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Professor Patrick Abuinsayale, indicated to the committee that the state has been contracting the services of notorious land guards to reclaim and safeguard public lands. Well, there's been a reaction today from the chairman, Francis Menu Adabo, who says his conduct was offensive to the rules of Parliament.
The committee is a committee of Parliament, and we had a referral from the Speaker of Parliament. So it's the Speaker that we can report to, no other person, until we finish with that report. Any information that comes out of that committee work is a betrayal. We don't have to break any news. We need to send the report to Speaker. And all these findings, if they are actually true, the Speaker will direct us what to do. We didn't go to do any investigation on our own. So we don't have to break any news from that committee work to the public without reporting first to the Speaker. I don't have to break any news because I've sworn oath of secrecy. Everything that comes out of a committee work, we must report to the Speaker at the plenary for discussion. And if anything is in that message report that people don't understand, they can file for a question. They can file anything in Parliament for redress. But you don't take any information from our committee work to the press without reporting first to the Speaker.
Right.
So I cannot speak to it until I finish with my report.
Okay. But then what happens then to this member of the committee who's already come out to the press?
The Speaker will determine, because we have to make complaint to the Speaker.
Will you be making that complaint separately?
In the report, it will come out. We will have to finish the report and then lay the report, and all what has happened from the time we went for the hearing to date will be captured in the report, and the Speaker will decide.
Well, tonight, the minority leadership on that committee have come to the defense of Hassan Suhini on the matter, and appears this has pitched both sides now firmly against each other. Listen to the ranking member on the committee, Rashid Purple, speaking to me a short while ago on this conflict that has erupted over what they were told by the Chief Director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry.
Well, not completely true, not a betrayal. Committee meetings are public events. The public is invited. You can walk into any committee meeting, listen, and if you want to make a report, you make a report. But a report would not represent the view of the committee. A report is presented by the committee and agreed to by all the members of the committee, or with some disagreement, either unanimous or by consensus. So if that happens, it means that what is presented to the House represents the voice of the committee. Now, if you pick anything out of the committee meeting and publicize it or discuss it in the public, it will not represent a true picture of what happened until the committee endorses it happen.
The chairman believes until a report is submitted to the speaker, you shouldn't be talking about it the way he's done.
Yeah, Suhuyini should not present a report and say this is a committee report. If he does that, the chairman is completely right. The committee report is presented by the committee, by the chairman, and then he moves the motion. The minister and the chairman with an endorsement by us if we support it. So if Suhuyini had presented a report and say this is a committee report in contradiction with the order, the scheme of things, then the chairman would have been right. But otherwise, what Suhuyini has done is just to pick a bit of the total event that took place, all the reporting that took place. He just picked a small bit of it and then goes out to talk about it. He may just be sounding something that eventually will be of benefit to us if he does it and then it is addressed quickly. Yeah.
What he put out, was it a factual representation of what the chief director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry actually told the committee?
Yes, it was a factual representation. He was trying to explain the situation in which government lands are protected, and he made some remarks about it. I'm sure that they forgot that they were speaking in Parliament. The committee meeting is like the same procedure as we go through in Parliament. It's the same thing that goes at committees. So if he has said that, knowing that he's speaking to Parliament, the impression is that he would have been speaking from the depth of his heart and maybe thinking or maybe speaking the truth of the situation at stake. So Suhuyini may have been trying to ensure that such an event, illegal and unacceptable, should be stopped.
But surely the chief director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry was that candid, because he was appearing before you in camera. At least at that stage, he knew he was only
coming from. I don't know what that camera is.
Well, he was only talking to members of Parliament at the committee.
The committee meetings are not done in camera. They are done for public consumption. You can walk into any committee meeting, any committee in Parliament, except that it is said not to include the public. If it is a closed meeting, it's a different matter.
Because the argument goes, if he knew he was going to be reported the way it had been, he certainly may not be offering as much, which then undermines the committee's work going forward, because others appearing before you now will be cautious.
Yeah. Essentially, committee meetings are not reported in any form. They are reported when the committee reports are out. You see journalists now reporting them. Journalists, many of the times, are not interested in going to committees to take reports. But it's public, and anything you say, just know that it can be absorbed and used for public consumption. We don't hide committee findings. Therefore, we don't represent ourselves. We represent the public. And so whatever is said in committee meetings, unless it is defined as in camera, and this was not defined so, anybody can take it and discuss it.
Is it factual, as has been reported, that he said that the ministry, the police, the military, all engage land guards to protect state lands?
I didn't see or I didn't hear that they engage land guards. They talk about engaging one company, one person who provides support to protect the land, to seize the land, to take the land from people who have encroached them, and then payment is done to him, and he keeps doing that for the state. But as it is, once we are yet to finalize this report, I will end it up here, and I will say that reporting to the speaker is completely unnecessary. It comes to nothing because the speaker cannot prevent anybody from listening to, from coming to hear committee meetings, and unless it's protected, and then reporting on it.
Would you be surprised to learn that there's a secret recording of the chief director appearing before the committee?
Like I said, I don't want to go into the details right now. What I have said is, I suppose, it should be sufficient.
Let me take you to Parliament and bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, yesterday we saw 3 statements from the police, from the military, from the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, all denying that this indeed happened, where they engaged land guards. The Lands and Natural Resources Ministry clarified that they only engaged a registered limited liability company to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. I know this has become an issue in Parliament today, albeit many of the MPs were not there. What has been the talk there?
In fact, especially on the majority side, because they were the ones who were in Parliament today, a number of them who I spoke with when the House adjourned, just around the lobby of the House, who did not go on the record yet because they believe this is a matter that will naturally gravitate towards the floor within the next few days. They say that they are disappointed that Al-Hassan Suhuyini will put out those details. But I also spoke to one very high-ranking official on the minority side who said that this was no surprise and that committee meetings almost always come out before the report actually comes. The person cited to me an instance, for instance, of the appointments committee, when even before the committee report will come out, there will be some sort of idea as to whether or not this person who before the committee will be approved or not, and what stance each and every side has taken. And in fact, most sides actually do press conferences before the reports are usually laid on the floor. So on the minority side, they do not see that any wrong has been occasioned by Al-Hassan Suhuyini coming out to divulge the information in terms of what went on into the committee. In fact, another defense that they put out is that there are certain committee reports that never come to the floor. There are so many referrals that end up at the committee meetings are had, and the reports never come. And so if the idea was that committee members would have to shut up over every issue that come up until a report is laid, then they will be gagged in their way of oversight responsibility. So quite a split house there. But we expect that, given how heated this is becoming, he cited a statement that came in yesterday and the heated response from the committee chairman today. We expect that if the committee chairman reports this to the speaker within this week, either tomorrow or Thursday or Friday before the week ends, surely this matter will end up on the floor for some spirited argument on both sides.
Kweku, stay with me. Let's bring in expert on parliamentary affairs, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, SEPA, Dr. Rashid Draman joins us now. Doc, do you sense that there's any breach in procedure here because of what has happened? At least the leadership on the committee disagree on this. The chairman believes something had gone horribly wrong here. It's a betrayal. He's reporting the member to the speaker. We've heard from the ranking who disagrees with that, calls it unnecessary. Where do you stand on this? What does the parliamentary procedure say on what you can say publicly or cannot say once a meeting has been had among committee members?
Well, Evans, I think that this the cure to this is what we were discussing yesterday on your show, that open all committee meetings to the public, so that at the end of the day, we would not be having this conversation, because I mean your microphones and cameras will be there, and then they will beam these deliberations to all of us, so that I mean nobody will come and tell us one story or the other. Having said that, I think if you look through the parliamentary procedures, the standing orders, I don't think there's anything that that says that a member of a committee cannot, discuss whatever was discussed at the committee level. You remember we were discussing yesterday even the security and the intelligence committee, and then the discussion was that except maybe for issues that are considered as maybe real state secrets, matters even within the security apparatus could be discussed. And so for me, I think they are taking advantage of the lacuna that exists in the standing orders and in the rules of procedure. So at this moment, from where I sit, I don't think that there's any breach.
Please stay with me. I want to bring in Hassan Suhuyini himself into the conversation. He's a man who started this controversy, which has put the pitched the leadership on that committee against each other. Joins us on the line right now. At least the chairman had indicated that they will be filing a report with the speaker about your conduct. If they do, will you be cooperating with any action that the speaker plans to take in terms of looking into this? And I guess this may border on privilege.
Well, good evening, Evans. Good evening to our listeners. And with the utmost respect, I wish not to make my conduct the subject of this discussion. The propriety or otherwise of my conduct is well stated out in our standing orders. And the practice of the House, if you have been following the House, you will know that every time members come out of committee meetings and they have issues they want to speak about, they do so freely because committee meetings are held in public. I have been a reporter myself, and I have covered members of parliament walk out of committee meetings and address the media several times. So, with all respect, Suhuyini's conduct is not the subject, and it shouldn't be. What is at stake is the ministry's engagement of a man that is well known by many as a Langa, and the ministry's revelation at the committee meeting that this gentleman has the authority and blessing through a contract that they claim to have entered into in 2012, when clearly the company they make reference to was only formed in 2014. Again, what should be the focus is the claim by the chief director aimed at justification for the ministry's decision to engage this, service provider. That the military and the police also depend on this same service provider. That is well known as a land guard in Accra.
Well, on the land guard subject, just a second. On the land guard subject, I spoke to your ranking member and I asked him that question. He says that maybe, in fact, he says that's not what the chief director told the committee, and that what he said was that they have engaged a registered limited liability. But if you use the words land guard, that is not accurately representing what you were told.
Well, Evans, again, respectfully, if you listen to me, I said that the ministry engaged this gentleman who is well known. I'm not saying that's what the chief director said. I'm telling you, the chief director didn't mention a company, and the recording is out there. He mentioned a name of a gentleman. Before the committee, it was the name Jato he mentioned, and he kept repeating Jato, Jato, Jato. And I'm saying, Ivan, if you have any, news portal or search portal in front of you, type in the name Jato. He's well known and has been well reported on as a land guard. And so I'm not saying that the chief director said they have engaged the services of a land guard. I'm saying that the chief director said they have engaged the services of a gentleman known as Jato.
Well, in a public statement they issued,
who I am saying is well known as a land guard.
Well, in the public statement they issued, they talk about engaging a limited liability company, IOC Holding.
Good. So that's the point again I made earlier, that before the committee, the chief director made reference to a gentleman known as Jato. In their press release, which he signed yesterday, he then replaced the name Jato with Enoch Holdings Limited and says that the ministry's engagement with Enoch Holdings Limited started in 2012. And I'm pointing it out to you and the chief director, Evans, that Enoch Holdings Limited, according to the Registrar General, was incorporated in 2014.
Yeah, but the fact then remains that this indeed company had long existed, and in fact, the point we make that company had been engaged in such rendering such and offering such services to the state way back, and not under this administration alone.
So, Evans, you don't see anything wrong with the ministry's claim that they engaged a company in 2012 when that company had not yet been incorporated?
Well, is this one that you plan because you're a member of that committee? You have the powers to interrogate further and get some further clarity on and possibly some action.
I'm telling you the inconsistencies that flow out of the chief director's narration. First, he makes the claim that they are using this gentleman because he has a reputation so large that the military depend on him. The military says it's not true. They don't depend on him.
Yeah, they have categorically denied that. So has the police.
He also says that they are using this gentleman because his reputation is so large that the Ghana Police Service depend on him. The Ghana Police Service is saying they don't depend on him. The chief director is also saying that this relationship is so old that it began in 2012. And yet evidence shows that by 2012, that company that he claims they began a relationship with was not in existence.
But so
these inconsistencies must be of worry to anybody who wants to
isn't that why?
About this matter.
Isn't that why the committee did the work it did and will put together a report, submit it to the plenary for a discussion and a decision? Why have you jumped the gun on this?
Whatever the committee will do, and one of it involves the request that we have made for better particulars on this relationship with Enoch Holdings. It does not preclude anyone from commenting on issues that happened before the committee.
But there's proper
committee of the whole. This was not a committee of the whole.
So I guess the question is, so what's the intention of talking about this in the media when the right forum has been created, a proper report will be put together for all of you to decide on the floor of Parliament?
Evans, I'm saying that I've reported on Parliament before, and the practice is well known. There is no law or no rule stopping any member of a committee from making comments on, committee.
Yeah, but that's not my question. You can make the comments, but I'm saying to what end?
With all respect, I refuse to make this discussion about the conduct of Suhina.
No, but I'm asking you a substantive matter. I'm not asking about conduct. I'm just asking. Clearly, you want something done about what you believe to be contradictions. And I'm saying the forum has been created now at the committee level and through a report that will subsequently be prepared and submitted to yourselves on the floor for the entire Parliament to take a decision. Isn't that the appropriate forum to get action taking and to deal with the matter substantively? What does the public utterances and disclosures do to getting this resolved?
You have your parliamentary correspondent every day. He doesn't report to you conclusions of Parliament. He gives you daily reports on happenings of Parliament. He does not wait until Parliament finishes a report on a matter before he reports to you. Why? Because Parliament sits in the public. And so the happenings in Parliament, whether it's a conclusive report, must be of public interest.
But we'll get to know anyway, because once the report is filed, Parliament will debate it.
it is also useful that the public is carried along, even in the preparation of the report. It is useful. And that is why, in some cases, even the members of the public are invited to submit memoranda. And even since this story broke yesterday, a number of issues have come to my attention involving the operations of this gentleman and his company, which will feed into a final report of the committee when the ministry finally submits, the terms and conditions of the contract that they have with this gentleman. It can even lead to us inviting this gentleman eventually to the committee, because the public discussion will help enrich our report.
Asa Suhini, thank you very much. And he is the MP for Tamale North who had raised this issue in the public and triggered this controversy. I still have Dr. Draman on the line. And Doc, we have now a draft revised standing orders of Parliament, which has been adopted, yet to become effective, which proposes now that all committee sittings will be public. And of course, then we can go in there with our cameras and report this pretty freely. However, seeing that the real purpose of committee sittings and Parliament is to actually take decisions and take action, should it be construed as premature for members of Parliament to commenting in the media space about things that had come before the committee, even before the entire House get to take action?
So, Evans, I support that very strongly, wherever it is coming from, because the more we know, the better there is transparency and accountability in our country. So I support any member who, provided he or she is not breaching any procedure. I think sometimes when these matters are left to Parliament alone, we don't get to hear the happenings and we don't get to hear some of the things that are wrong in our republic. Look, Evans, I think for me, listening to all this conversation, the question I continue to ask myself, is, are we a failing state? Because where are the state institutions? Where is the police? Where is the military? When I was studying political science, there used to be something that we call the taxonomy of state failure. And these are, some of the signs when, security, particularly at the national level, begins to get privatized. When state institutions cannot rely, like Parliament cannot, a ministry cannot rely on the security apparatus that have been set up by the state under our constitution. I think there are very serious questions to ask about the health of our country and the health of our state.
Dr. Rashid Draman, thank you very much. You're still live here on Joy 99.7 FM. This is Top Story News 90 in a minute.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Make I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you don't use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now it be high tech, so you don't use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back into your Vodafone cash account. Who reload here? But then you enter. Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana cedi or more in Vodafone's demo promo. And receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
I've got Bell Pack and I won't let go.
My name is Nana McBrown. Many people think I get what I want anytime because I am popular. No, that is not true. It is because me and Kasano, I like the best, and when I find it, I stick to it. I have found Bell Pack Tea Roll, and I'm stuck with it. It is soft but not weak, strong but not hard. It is just perfect. Bell Pack Tea Roll is smooth and gentle on the skin. Same as Bell Pack Kitchen Towel. It cleans in one wipe. You can soak, squeeze, and clean again. One Bell Pack Kitchen Towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bell Pack today and experience the perfect paper tissue. Say pocket tissue, table napkins, tea roll, and a kitchen towel. Bell Pack is simply the best. Bell Pack Just perfect.
To be a Bell Pack distributor, call 055-11-44400. Another quality product from Bell Aqua.
Nothing feels so good like Bell Pack.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, Baumia and Alan campaign teams lock horns over modalities for the conduct of the Super Delegates Congress, with the VIP's camp suggesting holding the conference in a centralized location lacks merit.
It's even more than 5,000. We converged at one place. I mean, to ensure a free, fair, and fair election, I think that is the way to go.
So I don't see the relevance of that kind of call.
We'll bring you details as the party's second highest decision-making body. The National Council is now expected to make a determination on a proposal this Thursday.
20th of this month, and at that particular meeting, a determination will be made on where and how the presidential election for the Special Delegates Conference will be conducted.
Also tonight, High Court begins full implementation of its day-to-day hearing of James Dachikwesing's case as it dismisses latest request to put trial on hold. The state's first witness is in the box, but already the MP's lawyers have a reason to be excited.
Can be described as Black Tuesday for the prosecution's witness. The prosecution's witness was in 6s and 7s.
We have the full details for you. Also tonight, 1 million cedis of University of Ghana funds invested in NDK Financial Services locked up.
Have you been able to recover this balance from the NDK Financial Services?
As a university, we have learned from our previous acts. We have
Will you answer my question first?
We haven't recovered the amount, but it's going through the process.
And in business, speakers that Joy Businesses pre-budget for push for scrapping some taxes in the 2023 budget as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta gets ready to present the mid-year budget review next Tuesday.
And in sports, dominant Black Queens make light work of Guinea to advance to the next stage of qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games. We'll bring you reactions from the Accra Sports Stadium.
Plus your views and comments here on Newsnight 055-1111-997. My name is Evans Mensah. And we start from the camp of the New Patriotic Party. The two dominant camps in their presidential primaries are mounting a strong disagreement over whether the Super Delegates Conference should be held at a centralized location or at the regional level. The party is expected to hold the Congress to limit the 10 presidential aspirants to 5 in accordance with the dictates of its constitution ahead of the November National Delegates Congress to elect a presidential candidate. But the Alan Chairmantin campaign team, they are opposed the decentralized process proposed by the party. Now, former Member of Parliament for Mensah North, Collins Owusu-Amankwa, tells Joy News they have petitioned the leadership of the governing New Patriotic Party to hold the August 26th Special Delegates Congress in a centralized location in the interest of transparency.
And the proponents of those saying that we should centralize it at the national level, I must say that I'm a strong advocate for such proposal. It ensures more transparency, accountability, and security.
So meaning you want all the delegates, those who qualify to participate in this special congress, you want all them to congregate at one spot for the election?
Yes. In that the number is not overwhelming. You have less than 1,000 delegates converging in one place. Even at the National Delegates Conference, which the number is even more than 5,000, we converged at one place. I mean, to ensure a free, fair, and fair election, I think that is the way to go.
Have you formalized this proposal? Have you brought this to the attention of the National Executive for consideration?
Grave concern to absolute majority of the party people. I think conduct your own survey. You will know that it is very popular proposal at the base of the party, and we feel that if the leadership would listen, I mean, to go a long way to shape and prepare the party for 2024 general elections.
Let's bring the camp of the vice president into the conversation now. I want to bring in the economic advisor to the vice president, is Kabiru Mahama, and also one of the campaign spokespersons. Mr. Mahama, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Evans, for having me.
A centralized process to whittle down the number to 10, I know you disagree with this. Why?
So good evening to you, and good evening to your cherished listeners. First and foremost, the party constitution clearly provides for this process. Secondly, this is not the first time the party is going through such a process. You recall in August, that was actually on the 30th of August, 2014, the party held the same special delegates or super delegates conference to select a leader. The party followed a process. That process was carried out without any problem. So it surprises that just on few weeks, 5 weeks to the polls or to the special delegates, where people will be proposing a major change. A change of this caliber is so major, it requires preparation that the national executive will have to prepare ahead of time in order to implement such. Again, taking such a move is like taking 2 steps backwards and taking 3 steps backwards. Forwards and taking 3 steps backwards. Because we should be looking forward to a process where, as much as possible, we will decentralize voting. Not even for the MPP election, but even at the national level. So when you took a decision to decentralize this process, now in another election, you want to go back 3 steps backwards from the 2 steps you took forward. That is going back. That is not devolvement. That is not devolving power, to the people. So put this together, I don't think, and the team doesn't, the Bawumia team do not think that it is a good approach. And it is very much in line with the constant practices that the party have adopted since 2014. Nonetheless, it's a proposal being made, and I'm sure National Executive will have opportunity to deliberate on this issue, and they will come to a firm conclusion that the time-tested practices of the party of having to decentralize the processes should be upheld, and we very much align with that particular view.
I want to bring in now Collins Owusu-Amankwa, who is a member of Parliament for Mission North, who made this point to us earlier. Mr. Amankwa, this is in your constitution. Why this 11th hour attempting now to change something that is so settled?
To change what, Evans?
This proposal to have this moved it into a centralized location instead of having it across the country.
It's not even in our constitution. It's not even in our constitution that such elections must be decentralized or centralized. And for anybody to say that because it was done in 2014 and therefore...
Hello, Collins Amankwa.
Hello?
Yes,
Evans.
I can hear you. I lost you briefly.
Yes, Evans, I was saying that it's not even in our constitution. It's not in NPP's constitution to decentralize such a conference. What we are saying is the fact that as a political party, one of our cardinal objectives is to consolidate power once we find ourselves in government. And as we speak, we are the ruling party. And we need to do things that would energize the base and also to check our conduct. This is a very popular proposal. I'm sure when you conduct your own investigation, you would know that majority of the party members support that. Why are we going to spend millions of cedis by decentralizing this very exercise at all the 16 administrative regions in Ghana, engaging electoral commission at each region, engaging security operatives in all the regional capitals. Meanwhile, the number is not overwhelming, less than 1,000 delegates.
Yeah, there's a good reason why this was done by your party, because of your own history, as we've seen, and that's why the convention has been enshrined and had been done before. Because one, we know in this country vote buying is an issue. Your party wanted to deal with that. The party also wanted to give more people an opportunity to vote and also improve the transparency. You've argued that doing it in a centralized place will actually improve transparency. Yeah, how so?
Yes. In that, remember in 2014, I was a delegate. In fact, we did it at the regional levels. But after the exercise, what happened? So many concerns were raised, and in the sense that people even were in doubt as to whether certain regional ones were done. On fairly grounds. What we are saying is, let's centralize it so that we'll be able to have, a fair view of the whole process to ensure accountability and security for all as a party.
You won't get that if you hold a decentralized election?
What we are proposing is highly cost-effective. If you do your cost-benefit analysis, Evans, you would agree.
So you're choosing cost. You're choosing cost over a decentralized process that ensures that most people get to vote, but also are not camped in a way that then induces individuals and then votes are bought.
And it minimizes the issue of the coercion and machination, intimidatory tactics. So we want to ensure that our party become more stronger.
But if you choose that, if that's your option, but then you're okay with the primary itself being decentralized, why don't you have both then the centralized location? Because you've done it that too before.
Can you going by this logic, can you converge over 200,000 delegates at one place? I'm asking.
But the point is the real reason. It is the real reason behind a decentralized process is what also fed into the actual primaries also being decentralized.
What we are saying is, even during National Delegates Conference, which the number is even more than 5,000, we hold it or we converge at one place to hold such a exercise. But to decentralize less than 1,000 delegates, for what reason?
So just for clarity, Alan Chamanting's camp, you believe this is simply a cost-effective approach?
This has nothing to do with Alan Chamanting or Dr. Bao.
But you are pushing this.
This is a very popular proposal some of us are advocating for, including absolute majority of the presidential hopefuls. And I'm sure you heard Honorable Boachi Ejako on this very issue that we discussed.
What's your fear, though? What's your real fear, apart from saying it's cost-effective? What's your fear if this is done at the national level?
For our own collective good, I believe that we need to do things that would ensure that as liberal Democrats, our democracy, though, is growing. We NPP believe in it, and that's our motto: the development in freedom, and we should do things that nobody will be seen to be manipulating the system.
I struggle to see how you can manipulate a decentralized process. Isn't it more susceptible to manipulation when you hold it in one place?
Listen. You have, in some regions, you have less than 30 delegates. So you are deploying all the security, everything, including electoral commission, to go and conduct election for 30 delegates. Have you factored the cost at play? So for good reason, that's why we are suggesting.
Stay with me. Mr. Mahama, so you've heard the real reasons why this is something that they believe must go. He says, actually, it's not only the Alan camp that is pushing this, other of the aspirants are also in support of this. They call this a popular view, and that apart from saving costs, it also takes out manipulation?
Evans, this is not the first time of hearing that decentralization breeds corruption or manipulation. Contrary to the popular, widely held view that decentralization actually promotes transparency in any case. So that is the first hypothesis that I'm hearing for the first time. Secondly, we have to go to the numbers of even the cost. When you are transporting people, say, from Garu to Accra, you need to pay their transportation. You need to pay for their accommodation. You need to pay for their revenue. You need to feed them. Okay, so you are talking about planning for 1,000 people, about 1,000 people with all these particular, and even in any case, bringing the 1,000 people more security at a particular venue. You cannot use the same number of security you have used at the local level. So we have to go into the numbers and talk, but we should not even sacrifice efficiency, sacrifice participation, sacrifice devolution of power on the altar of cost, even if the cost argument was much compelling. This is not something we cannot sacrifice these held views, the fundamental and cardinal and underlying tenets of democracy on the altar of cost. That is something that we have to look at. But look, the MPP, this is not the first time the MPP is practicing this. I did not hear, and I'm not sure you even heard in any case, Mr. Evans, that in 2014, August 30th, 2014, when the process was held across the country, there was any complaint of manipulation. Okay, now, even if there's going to be manipulation, I would think that it is going to be at the centralized level. For instance, coming to vote, looking at, say, Mr. Amankwa, who is my brother, who is supporting Alan Chairman, looking at face and going to vote at that level, I may feel intimidated. But at my level, at every level that I find myself, I will comfortably go and vote and come back. Coalition is going to be easy, simple, and the process will finish on time.
Yeah, but what about his
part of the country will finish by midday.
What about his cost-saving argument?
That's what I'm saying, that we have to even go to the numbers. I have given you the litany, the cost elements, cost items that we have to cater for when we are transporting people from their respective communities, villages into a centralized point. If we are doing it in the north, people from Volta region, people from Ashanti region will have to go. If you are doing it in Ashanti region, people from the northern part will have to come. Someone has to pay for that cost.
Yeah,
is it the National Party that is, we are even saying there is staff of resources?
In both cases, people will have to travel to the center, even if it's across the region, to go to the voting
center.
And
rightly so. And most of these people are even clustered around the center. For instance, look at the caliber of people who are coming to vote. Constituency chairman, one person from the constituency will have to travel to the region. The maximum cost, average cost a person will have to bear in and out transportation is, say, 100 Ghana cedis. But consider such a person moving from Garo to Greater Accra. Some of them you have to even purchase flight tickets because of the state of life of this or station of life of these people.
Well, you argue that if the delegate is that committed to the party's cause, then they should finance their own trip to the center to vote.
Delegates cannot, and that has always been the argument, because these are people you are bringing. The National Party is supposed to facilitate their movement to and fro the very destination they are supposed to vote. So we are either exerting so much pressure on the national, executive. The party is actually looking for resources to do a lot of things, and I don't think that the best use of the resources in this regard is to spend so much in the various transportation, in the various accommodation to satisfy the people, some of the aspirants as they are demanded. Because look, he said absolute majority. I don't know the faces behind it, but this absolute majority, some of them were very part of the old system. Mr. Najimati was part of the old system. He never raised any objection to that effect. General Secretary, who is now a candidate, didn't raise any issue with that process. He actually was the one implementing these processes. Okay, so and maybe, Mr. Ivan, let me even make this point clearly. Look, we have just less than 6 weeks to go to the post. And these 2 weeks, the arrangement that has been put in place, you want them to jettison everything.
Well, from what we understand, the party is considering this, and you've just been listening there to economic advisor, the vice president's office, and one of the campaign spokespersons for the vice president, Kabiru Mahama. Earlier, you had a former member of parliament for Mensah North, Collins Amankwa. I want to bring in the deputy general secretary of the party quickly for clarity on this proposal. Haruna Mohammed just joined us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Mohammed, so is the party considering this, and will the decision be taken and when?
Good evening to your chair, listeners, and my colleagues on the other side of the conversation. On the 20th of this month, that is on Thursday, the National Council of the party, which is the second highest meeting body of the party, will have a sitting. Prior to that sitting will be the National Executive Committee. All these conversations are issues that considering that will be in the best interest of the party. And I have understand that there is one written complaint to the party in the form of suggesting and all that has been submitted to the party headquarters once I filed it to check whether there is such a complaint. And all these issues from the steering committee has started to read and designed that 20th of this month be a day for National Council meeting. And these matters will be looked at. The MPP is the national party, and we welcome all views that will better strengthen the democracy that we have further enjoyed in this country, and that is what we welcome.
Thank you very much. That's Haruna Mohammed, is the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. And let's hit the campaign trail now, because the two frontrunners, they have been campaigning across the country. First to Alan Chamanting's camp, and he says he's the best candidate with a formula to develop the country. He's been speaking to delegates in Ho.
I have the plan, I have the formula to make sure that you are rewarded for the work that you are doing for the party. It is not because I'm contesting to become a plan. I did this even when I was not a plan. The fourth thing that the grassroots people are asking to do is to select a leader who has the experience and the competence to move Ghana forward. Even if I pay you and Ghana collapses, the economy of Ghana collapses, your salary will not be worth it. So you need a leader who has the vision and the track record to move Ghana forward. I think my record is there. During President Kufuor's time, the presidential special PSRs, during Nana Kufuor's time, the one district, one party, within a matter of 2.5 years, I was able to help almost 290 business people to establish factories.
Well, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, himself has been touring the Ashanti region. He's been campaigning there, and he's been speaking to delegates and warning them not to vote for anybody claiming to be richer than others in the upcoming presidential primary.
As we go for the presidential primaries, we need someone who can reclaim power for us, not just anybody. We need a selfless leader to lead the party and not a rich man.
Our track record, our experience, our ideas, innovative ideas, sad qualities na all here in the president. And yes, always seek.
And as a Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, so live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the High Court today commenced the full implementation of the day-to-day hearing of the James Dachikwesi trial. Now, this was after it had dismissed a request by the legislature's legal team to put the trial on hold. The court then heard the testimony of the state's first witness, Richard Evans Mensah. Now, Mr. Mensah is the individual who filed the criminal complaint against James Dachikwesi. Now, legal affairs correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story and joins us pretty shortly with the very latest on this developing story. We'll also go to Parliament because any day the case had been called, the Parliament had been absolutely empty. We'll get to talk to our parliamentary correspondent in Parliament today what happened when the members of Parliament, again on the minority side, went to support their colleague in court. But you can listen to the Director of Legal for the NDC, who've been speaking to journalists shortly after the court had the matter and pronounced on it, in effect dismissing what James Achikwesing's lawyers had put forward, dismissing the latest request to put the trial on hold. Well, Abraham Maliba had this to say.
Once we proceed to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, whatever order that comes from those superior courts will do with what she's doing now. We'll undo it. So when it was dismissed, we then plunged into the trial itself. And you realize that today can be described as Black Tuesday for the prosecution's witness. The prosecution's witness was in 6s and 7s. In fact, he swore an oath that his statement was written in English. It turned out that when he was shown his own statement, he spoke in Twi and it was recorded. That goes to the credibility of the witness. That goes to his mindset. So clearly, today, you notice that the prosecution's witness was not helpful to the prosecution at all. And even when he said that he had attached documents to his complaint to the police, one of the documents he said he attached was a statutory declaration of Achikwesing. It turned out that there was no attachment of that sort. So clearly, the interpretation is that today, the prosecution's own witness statement has been thrown to the dustbin because he couldn't even indicate that that was his own statement. He spoke in English. It turned out that he rather spoke in Twi, and it was transcribed into English.
To come back into court tomorrow, you also have to be at the Court of Appeal. And what will you be seeking to do specifically at the Court of Appeal tomorrow?
The Court of Appeal has to do with stay of proceedings, this court's work, so that our appeal will be heard before we come back to her. So tomorrow is about the stay of proceedings, which if we are successful, will stay the proceedings here while the appeal.
Joseph Akable, court correspondent, joins us on the line with more in some context. Who is his witness?
It's Richard Techi Mensah. He is the individual who filed the petition at the police CID that gave rise to the investigations into the activities of James Achikwesing. He is a resident of the Asin North constituency, and he has been following at this particular matter since it commenced from the constituency level, Evans.
And I'm curious to know what the Attorney General's view is. We've heard the NDC's view. They believe that the witness actually helped their case. What's the view of the AG?
The AG holds the view that it went well, especially because they got their decision in their favor and they are simply continuing with the court processes.
The court decided to rely on a binding decision of the Supreme Court to hold that she's not supposed to stay proceedings until another the court higher has been served on her to stay proceedings. So we are comfortable with the ruling of the court.
And you are ready to progress with it already? Your witness is continuing with the testimony?
Yes, tomorrow we are supposed to be back, and within 1 hour, Counsel for the Accused is supposed to finish pre-examining PW1.
Well, today, because this case was before the courts, Parliament was once again pretty empty as the minority side decided to abandon the House to support James Achikwesing. We've been hearing from the majority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, who today asked the House to proceed, although they simply did not have enough men to form a quorum. That wasn't raised, but he was absolutely determined to get the House to go ahead until this matter is raised by somebody on the floor. That didn't happen, and so they went on with the business. And he had this message for the NDC MPs.
Our colleagues in the minority, and they have elected not to be present. So that the Parliament of this Republic cannot wait for them. And hence, as often been the practice, want to appeal to you that the answers to these questions be published, except for question 1405, which stands in the name of the Honorable Vincent. So for Speaker, to your leave.
And in Parliament today, we also got the very latest from the Agric Minister, who came to the House to brief members of Parliament, albeit very few of them, on what they've done so far to deal with the crisis involving the food suppliers who have been picketing last week and has suspended it for a few days because they've not been paid. We'll bring you details of that pretty shortly and some reactions from the food suppliers themselves. You're still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. George Jaffe is here with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, speakers at Joy Business's pre-budget forum push for scrapping of some taxes in the 2023 budget as the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, gets ready to present the mid-year review budget next Tuesday. And the Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana begins meeting to review development in the economy with city stability, IMF program, and checking inflation dominating the discussions. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year.
Nana, who's not land you? He did the port right here.
Here are your items. Thank you for coming.
Yes, 2 for 10 cedi, me no 10 cedi, 2 for 10 cedi.
However you do business, wherever you do business, MTN Business has a solution for you. Join us on 14th July at the Kumasi Mall and 28th July at the Rollins Park in Accra Central. To learn how to do more and stay ahead of the pack, visit mtn.com.gh/business or call or WhatsApp 0244 308111 for enquiries. It's time to scale up this July with MTN.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Do you know Flamingo Paint has superior properties than any other paint brand on the market? Listen, when you take 1 bucket of Flamingo Paint, is equal to several buckets of any paint brand on the market. So, Flamingo has superior hiding properties, superior coverage, it means it covers, and superior durability. Flamingo Paint, superior hiding. Flamingo Paint, superior coverage. Flamingo Paint, superior durability. Flamingo Paint, simply superior. No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough.
This Wednesday on the Joy Business Fan, if you love cakes, there is a healthy alternative.
Passion Cakes. The small business was started barely 9 months ago by startup Gifty Dankwa Redu.
People are more conscious about what they eat, and I decided to bring out something healthier.
We'll be in Gifty's kitchen to see how her healthy cake recipes are baked, discuss her successes and challenges, and hear about plans for her startup.
So I want to open a bakery shop and also make other varieties such as healthy wedding cakes and professional cakes.
The Joy Business Van, this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on ground. Powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And MTN, what are we doing today?
Media Sambisanda mo. Etiam Ratiano, Mumu Panet, Vinamo Podom Pemana Yakono. Eh, Quabna. No Mumu wants me to be just my memory in that day. And the crow, corporate moving on Bodom Pimus, so you super-excellent Eba. I had in a bunny to Braye, who see it in a mobile, some man I want it. Sir, I now could you soon use super-excellent Chaco, Nenry dear, a mouse, and we are creating fit of that. No, what you ask you, my mother feel you. Kojo, sir. Yeah. Pepsodent Eba and a Pepsodent Chaco. I've had you're gonna natural.
FDIJ Trading Katuyatu.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Review some of the taxes captured in the 2023 budget. That's the advice coming from some speakers at Joy Business's pre-budget forum today, as Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta gets ready to present the media review of estimates next Tuesday. Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu-Abuaji, maintained that most firms are collapsing because of some of these tax policy measures.
For the past 3 weeks, I've been visiting some of our members within the manufacturing sector, and the situation is bad. You could see the devastating impact of whatever is going on businesses. Some have cut down production, and one typical firm that I visited has closed down totally because it's not able to pay electricity. And these are real things that if you go on the ground,
what has happened to their workers?
They've been laid off. Like a cocoa processing company, a huge plant sitting down doing virtually nothing. Investment had gone into that plant, and if you see the face of the businessman.
Speaking on the same program, General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karowe, noted that government must take some drastic measures to deal with the dwindling fortunes of the agri sector.
There are now new and emerging, enemies of agriculture, where the fundamentals of agriculture, that is land, is being destroyed completely. Galamsey is doing a very huge devastation to agricultural basis, because one, agriculture is based on land, agriculture is based on water. All those things are being destroyed permanently, not even temporary. So even if you have resources and you want to go into agriculture, you may not even be able to get the type of land that you want.
That is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karowe, now President of the Association of Ghana Industries, who also spoke on the same program. That is Dr. Humphrey Yimdake, noted that government must come up with policy measures that will look beyond the IMF program. The Ghana cedi will remain fairly stable against the US dollar for the third quarter of this year. Now, that's the projection coming from Finance Out Sem Capital with the second quarter of this year's report released to its investors. There is more in this report.
The projection by Sem Capital was influenced by the fact that inflows from the IMF and the World Bank are expected to come in the last quarter of this year. The country could also receive some dollar inflows in the last quarter of this year when COCOBOD carries out its loan syndication program. All these developments should bring in some significant dollars in the last 3 months of 2023. The Finance House also believes that this will help in improving Bank of Ghana's international reserves, which will go a long way to impact on the local currency. Meanwhile, Sem Capital is projecting that economic growth is expected to slow in the last quarter of this year. This is based on the fact that inflation is expected to go up in the last quarter of this year, as well as tight monetary stance by the Bank of Ghana's reduction in government spending, which is expected to impact on private sector spending as well. The Finance House is also projecting that the Bank of Ghana is expected to hike its policy rate when it meets this week to review development in the economy. This will go down to impact on the cost of credit in the coming month.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, Deputy Director of Banking Supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Ismail Adam, says banks must engage in responsible lending because of its impact on the economy. The Deputy Director maintained that banks must consider the sustainability of the banking environment when advancing loans. He was speaking at an industry engagement on sustainable banking principles.
The need for banks to engage in responsible lending. And responsible lending here is in reference to managing your lending practices that you have the sustainability of the environment in mind. The banks are aware that when they are engaging in lending practices, they need to look at the impact on the environment. Of course, we have 5 critical areas that the principal focuses on. So now the banks at least are aware that in our lending practices, we need to look at these 5 critical areas and make sure that our lending processes are responsible.
Deputy Director of Banking Supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Ismail Adam. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana today began meeting to review developments in the economy instead of the July 19, 2023 announced earlier by the central bank. Details in this report.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana should have met on Wednesday, July 19, 2023, that is tomorrow. However, Joy Business is learning that the meeting started today. It is not clear for now what influenced the change in date. But Joy Business is learning that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank will not change the Monday, July 24 date that is supposed to announce its decision about the outcome of the meeting as well as its decision on the policy rate. The Monetary Policy Committee at its last meeting in May kept the rate at 29.5%. However, there are strong indications that looking at the current pressure on inflation rate, the Monetary Policy Committee will take steps to reduce the policy rate. We also understand that issues about the Ghana cedi, Ghana fiscal situation, and inflation rate dynamics will dominate the 3-day meeting.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, the National Lottery Authority says it is in the process of enhancing its compliance mechanism to include an advisory unit to help lottery winners in the best ways to invest their funds. This is part of moves by the authority to give opportunity to their clients to benefit from the game. Director General of the authority, Samir Wuku, was speaking to Joy Business with launching a third-party platform known as Mega 6 Lotto.
An advisory bureau where people even get to win. Some of them don't even know how to spend their money. And the very day that they get to win a fortune, that's the day that they get to call everybody on their contact list. The next day, then reality sets in eyes clear, Sikanashi. We want them to be able to use it for something entrepreneurial, something to also help turn their lives around, and something that they can also invest in. And we believe that that is what you can use as a telling example of what lottery and lottery can also do. So, yes, you are right. Our mechanism, our compliance mechanism, now we are going to be very firm and tough on.
Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Samuel, let's turn our attention to the stock market. And Access Bank was the only loser at the end of trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The share price went down by 5 pesos and is now worth 3 Ghana cedis, 30 pesos. And that's all for Business on News Night. Back to you, Evans.
George, thank you very much. And tonight on PM Express, I'm looking forward to a conversation about the new faces in the NPP chasing a parliamentary dream. And some of them really make for some very interesting conversation.
Is it Marco Kriko Mante?
Oh, yes, Marco Kriko Mante.
Our own Mark.
Yes, and then Jefferson Saki, who also used to work here, our colleague. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with them. Akosia Asamenu also is also seeking to go as a MPP parliamentary aspirant at the Denton constituency, a constituency I used to live in. He's a deputy CEO of the National Youth Authority, will be our guest as well. Jefferson Saki, you know him. He is hoping that the delegates will give him the nod for Ablikuma Central. He's a deputy director of communications at the Jubilee House.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
and his boss as well. That is Eugene.
He's also contesting in the Wutu thereabout. So there's a lot of competition, and this is for the orphan constituencies. So they've picked forms already to contest, and some of them I haven't heard speak politically on issues, particularly Jefferson Saki. I don't know him to be.
Would there be any political
scientists?
Because I also want to get the dynamics when it comes to how the 8-year cycle plays out when it comes to members of parliament. You know that, well, at the presidential level, there could be a change often. But what happens to the parliamentary seats when it comes to the 8-year cycle? Do we have a situation where the opposition get more seats and the ruling party loses out? Or
well, the 8-year cycle tells us that the incumbent party loses ground in parliament. You lose ground generally in the national elections, presidential, but in parliament also you lose ground.
Okay.
So if that's anything to go by, history tells us that. So you're expecting that to repeat itself in 2025, of course, but the MPP believes they can break the 8. They talk about breaking the 8. How that reflects in the parliamentary numbers, we don't know. But the history is pretty adequate in terms of analyzing what happens going forward. But this is a conversation I'm looking forward to. And it's a question I need to ask them, whether this historical challenge that they will have to confront is one that poses a significant daunting prospect for them. When they think about all the energy, the time, the money they'll be spending to campaign, and then you have to confront this history, which nobody had managed to undo before since 1992. So it's a big one. Let's talk to them.
We're looking forward
Let's
to
talk
that
to them
as well,
tonight
Evans.
at 9 and get their perspective on this. George, thank you very much. It's so live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, in the month of June alone this year, flooding in Ashanti regional capital Kumasi has claimed 10 lives. The Ghana National Fire Service rescued at least 280 people from floods in the Kumasi metropolis last month. Now, most victims in flood-prone areas were trapped in their homes after heavy rains. Nana Boachi Yadom has more in today's episode of our Floods of Trauma series.
In the Ashanti region, Ohim, Sewua, Ebuakwa Asenemaso, Tafo Inshayaso, Hiawu Bisianse, and Sapase are among flood-prone communities. Residents experience heavy flooding anytime there is a downpour. The flood breaks down walls and inundates homes.
When it rains, you will regret. When the place gets flooded, we run away from our homes.
It wasn't like that, but we don't know what is the cause of the water this time around. It will be flowing. Before we realize it will come back to this particular area. In fact, it's a problem to us over here. We need help.
According to the fire service, 280 victims of flood were rescued in June alone. Regional Communications Director DO3 Peter Ade says some victims are trapped in their homes and others from the outskirts.
That happened in Tafu, Inshiaeso, Besiansi, Sepasi, and many other places.
Peter Ade says the fire service remains on standby to rescue victims as the rains come down heavily.
If you are trapped in any flood situation, the best institution to call is fire service to come in to rescue you.
For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
And my name is Evans Mensah, live here in the studios of Joy 99.7 FM. Ms. Bao is here with sports.
Yeah, Evans, let's start with the Black Queens. And today they completed a 7-0 aggregate victory over Guinea. The first round of qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games to be held in Paris. Now, the Queens, who are looking to return to the Olympic Games for the first time since 2007, secured a 3-0 victory in the first leg on Friday in Conakry, Guinea. And earlier today, completed a double with an emphatic 4-0 win at the Kraspor Stadium. Now, Evelyn Bedu scored twice, with Priscilla Adubia and Fridaus Yakubu also finding the back of the net for the senior women's national team. They will now play Benin in the next round of qualifiers, and that's a team they defeated 3-0 in a friendly just a few months ago. So we are rooting for the Black Queens to try and qualify for the Olympic Games after the men missed out after being unable to make it to the semi-finals of the Under-23 tournament. Now, let's talk about the Black Stars also now, because the Ghana Football Association has confirmed a friendly with Mexico during the October international window. Now, a statement from the association said it has signed a contract with the Mexican Football Association for the game with the 2023 CONCACAF Gold Champions to be played in the United States of America as part of the 20th anniversary of the Mexico tour. Now, the game will be played on Saturday, October 14, 2023, at a venue yet to be decided in the United States. And of course, this after this game on the 14th of October, the Black Stars, having already secured a friendly against the United States of America, will then play the USA on the 17th of October to end the break. So 2 crucial games for the Black Stars in the month of October during the international window. 14th against Mexico, then 17th against the USA. 2 countries who will be hosting the next edition of the World Cup. And these games are intended to help the Black Stars prepare for the 2023 African Cup of Nations and the 2026 qualifiers that they will be starting in November. Now, let's do some transfers and to Manchester United. And Evans, this is good news because Manchester United have agreed a £47 million deal for Inter Milan goalkeeper Andre Onana. Yeah, finally.
And tell you what, last night I spent about 1 hour. I probably should be sleeping. I got home after 12 and I was sitting down watching clips of Onana do his thing. I think he's more of a baller than a keeper.
It's really good.
There's a guy who plays almost close to the midfield.
Yeah.
When he has the ball. And his dribbles are amazing.
He's got some serious confidence whenever he has the ball. And it explains why Manchester United decided to let go there.
47.
Yeah, £47 million. Good deal. So they will pay £43.8 million up front, with the remaining £3.4 million to be paid based on some targets. So yeah, it's a good one there. So he will join on a 5-year contract with an option for a 6th. And maybe this will not interest you, but it's just on some interesting understanding. Your former player, Johnny Evans, you remember him, right? Yeah. He has returned to the club on a short-term deal.
Yeah. Which club?
Manchester United. He's returned to Manchester United. No, as a player, on a very short-term deal. But the deal is just...
Evans?
Johnny Evans.
Johnny Evans.
Oh, yes. This.
What's the source of this?
It's on the website of the BBC. Also, you can find it on my Joe lines there. So he joined the club on a very short-term deal. He's not going to be playing
1 month.
Yeah, short term, like 1 month, 2 months. At the moment, he's training with the under-21 side. He spent some time with the senior team. He will be in the senior team squad when they play Lyon and Wrexham on Wednesday, and I think on Saturday when they play Wrexham.
Oh, that actually possibly may indicate that Harry Maguire is leaving.
Yeah,
possibly.
It looks like he might go. West Ham are seriously interested. His wages are the issue.
Captaincy as well.
Yeah, you've done that. And he said he's extremely disappointed with you for doing that. I'm going to leave you with Marcus Rashford. Extended his contract, 5-year contract, going to be on some £300,000 a week contract for Marcus Rashford. Big money. Is going to be there for the next 5 years at Manchester United. So good news for them. Chelsea is still chasing Moises Caicedo. £70 million have been rejected by Brighton, Hove and Albion. And Chelsea are looking to increase their offer and ensure they get their man. That's it for sports, brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Sweetest bulletin in a long time. Find more Manchester United stories for me tomorrow, please. And that's Ms. Bao there with the latest from the world of sports. And a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console. This from Ernest in Taifa says, Evans, I'm writing you this letter to caution all MPP presidential hopefuls to refrain from attacking each other. Intra-party elections should not give birth to animosity. We will need everybody to rally behind the winner. Dr. Baumia is my preferred candidate because his signal is highly strong. And this one from Nana Kwamwa in the central region, Ablikuma Central rather. He says, I'm really struggling to understand the justification that Hassan Suhini is giving when he knew that cases head in before the committee will be brought to the plenary for debate, and he could not wait but ran to the media. And Philip in Keta says, Nanado and his Attorney General, they're simply wasting your time on Honorable James Quayson. And a final one here says, this is from Kutuka Courage inside Angoga. It says, what at all did MPP and the Supreme Court want from James Jachi Quayson? A few of your comments there on the stories you've heard so far. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brian Champon, says government has paid 50% of the debt owed suppliers of the buffer stock company. Then, according to him, the buffer stock company owes the food suppliers even more money now, 203 million Ghana cedis since 2022, and that 50% will be paid in due course. Listen to him brief Parliament today.
Mr. Speaker, currently Buffer stock owes its suppliers 203 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, since 2017, Buffer stock has done business with the suppliers to the tune of 2.7 billion Ghana cedis. In 2017, it was 81.1 million. 2018, 296 million. 2019, 441 million. 2020, 467 million. 2021, 692 million. 2022, 726 million. Mr. Speaker, Buffer stock has made payments in respect of 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 in full. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, of the 726,617,881 Ghana cedis, 500 million cedis has been paid to the suppliers. We still owe suppliers a little north of 203 million Ghana cedis. Such release, Mr. Speaker, we've sent to finance, and last week we received 100 million, which is 50% of what is due the suppliers. We have transferred same through the processes to buffer stock. We're hoping that, Mr. Speaker, by the midweek this week, that 50% will be sent to suppliers.
Well, let's check with the food suppliers themselves now. The spokesperson for the association, Koko Amedume, joins us on the line. Can you confirm if any of your members have started receiving the funds yet, and happy with what you heard from the minister today?
Hello?
Ms. Amedume, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you confirm if any of your members have started receiving the funds, and happy with what you heard from the minister today?
I don't know if I got you correct. Good evening to your listeners. I don't know if I got you correct. Are you asking if you got our money?
Yes. Can you confirm if any of your members have received it?
No. We were told tomorrow.
Okay, so you expect to see this tomorrow. And happy with what you heard, though, from the minister today?
We've been given promises, and we just take them as one of those promises. We take it as one of those promises because those figures have been displayed or bandied around. We also have our figures. We thought that even if the government decides to pay us half of the money, there should be some discussions with the suppliers, because this money has been long overdue and the money has accrued interest. There's a lot of pressure, and they are spending so much to even recoup their money. So the 100 million, 100 million, it's money, but will not do what we are asking. Will not be able to solve our problems for us.
Okay. Ms. Amedume, thank you very much. It speaks for the food suppliers. They've been supplying food to the Buffer Stock Company. Just before we go today, before the Public Accounts Committee, it emerged that the University of Ghana has some 1 million cedis still locked up with the NDK Financial Services. It came to light during today's Public Accounts Committee sittings. The Director of Finance for the university, Benis Adugu, says the university is now tracking down that money in an attempt to recover it. Well, details of that and more on myjoyonline.com.